Hello, and welcome to the We Get to Do This podcast. My name is Kailee.
And I'm Jacob.
And we are your co-hosts.
In this show, we're going to dive into all things our lives, from our partnership to romance to entrepreneurship to growing our businesses together, our fitness journeys, and we're going to have a ton of different guests on that relate to what I just said in some way. We're hoping you enjoy the show, and if you do,
please feel free to follow us, leave us a 5-star review on wherever you listen to your podcasts, and enjoy.
And if you don't like the show, tough. Thank you.
Thanks.
We are live. Welcome back. Woo. Episode 1, 2, 3, 4. Episode 4 of We Get to Do This. Today, we're going to talk about our fall plans a little bit, so we can give a little update on goals for the next 3-4 months, both business, fitness. I think that's kind of it, right? We also need to really figure out the intro outro clip situation.
We're working on that. Yeah. Stay tuned.
But I think it took us, believe it or not, only 4 tries to do that, and it was completely unscripted. We just said, all right, you say this, I'll say this, and we'll just both wing our parts, and we'll see how it goes. And it worked. We had to crop the first second out. That was it. Yeah, your little breath in.
I saw a reel or meme or something the other day about millennials, and I'm like, that's very real. I do that.
Is that a thing?
Apparently.
Huh. Well, I'm a Zoomer, so I don't do it, I guess. Whatever. So I'm drinking an Athletic Brewing Company beer.
Sponsor us.
Because I bought 6 3-4 months ago and forgot about them in the fridge. So
because
I looked at it and was like,
a couple other dozen drinks.
It looked pretty good, yeah. And also, it is August 11th, and tomorrow is a very special day. Kailee, do you want to tell the audience what you have planned for me?
It's supposedly Middle Child Day, and Jacob here, who you're going to be finding out more about today in this interview, is a middle child.
Right now.
I thought we were doing that today.
Well, it's just fall plans. We're going to do the interview, but that's going to be a different episode. It's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. But yeah, anyways, tomorrow's Middle Child Day. Kailee, I actually took the whole day off, and Kailee is throwing me a surprise party, so I'm excited about that. I don't know what it is yet, though, so we'll find out, and we'll probably do a podcast episode on that, too. So, but plans for today, as Kaylee's fidgeting with her phone and getting the camera figured out, is it's currently August. We're both back now from our sabbatical, and we are going to give a little update on what our plans are, both business-wise for the next 4 months and fitness-wise too, right? Those 2 things essentially, and just kind of give an update to the world.
Yeah.
So let's do fitness first. I feel like that will kind of knock, get things out of the way. You had your A race back in March, your 200 mile that we haven't really gone super into yet, but we will. And now you're training kind of for life, essentially, right? What is next for you? If there's a next, I don't,
I mean, after I got done with the 200, everyone was like, so you're going to do another one? Now what crazy race are you going to do? 500 miles? I'm still a little scarred from the 200 this spring. It was brutal. So I don't need to do that anytime soon here. But I've really been enjoying, when we were in Washington this last month, just going out and doing trails and doing whatever kind of workouts I want. But my next race is the TC 10 miler, which is October. It's always the first weekend of October. Last year, for all the runners out there, that it got canceled because of the heat. But we still went and ran it just on our own. Did a rogue 10 miler.
With
Caleb.
Shout out.
Caleb and Jacob paced me for it, and just got a group of people to do it. And I PR'd by
a lot.
3, 4, 5, a lot of minutes. And this year my goal is to PR 2 minutes from that time. And
your PR was, did you say it? Did I miss it? 117.
I got 117 something last year, but it was an unofficial time. So nothing's on the record books yet. So that's why this year I'm shooting for 115.
Woo!
which is by far the
115,
fastest.
like 1:15.00, sub 1:16, like
anything in the 1:15 range.
Just in that area.
Yes.
I like that. I like how you set time goals.
Yeah. Thanks to you. I never used to do this. I think I
set time goals or set time goals that way and with ranges.
Just time goals.
Oh, okay. I thought I was revving off on the whole like, why do we have to always break a number? Why can't we go and just do ranges? Never mind.
Well, there's that too, but I feel like I'm a good example of not having like time goals and not being like super disappointed if I don't meet a certain goal. Like I think I said in the other podcast already, the other episode was like why I got into trail running was because it was more of like completion focused versus like time focused. So now that I've done the completion route, now I'm pulling back again and going back to like time goals.
Right.
And it's been super fun. So have considered doing a road marathon or some kind of marathon this fall. Dabbled in that a little bit, but I don't know. I kind of like just waiting to see what happens and going for that because it'd be really cool to be able to beat my time from CIM last year in the marathon. And I know I could do that. I just don't know how much I want to.
Fair. Maybe seeing Al and his training. And we have a friend that saw that Kailee ran 4:09 last year at CIM, and his only pursuit and interest for the next 4 months is to run faster than that time. So
4:08.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure if like he's the type of dude that if he got to the finish line and it was 4:04, he would just stand behind the finish line.
Yeah. For
4 minutes and then wait. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
So, well, cool.
Yeah. Like that. So that's nothing like insane right now. I personally don't need like a race to like train. Like I'll continue doing stuff every day of the week just to train for life because I know it's like good for me because I enjoy it truly. So
we should do an episode on that sometime too because I have races on the calendar right now, but I was talking to you about this a lot this past week and like I just freaking love training.
Yeah.
Like I could be pretty content like just hitting PRs and training. That's the phone call again.
Thanks.
And I could be pretty content just hitting PRs and training and not like ever doing any like massive crazy races. But I feel like, well, one, there's probably a part of me that's not actually true. And I actually do like to do the races and the showy things for sure. But two, I think that it helps with me being more relatable to clients and then also like going and doing my homework on courses and recon and courses so I can talk to them, you know?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth because I really do just really, really like training. I just really enjoy it.
Yeah. And like we just listened to Coach Bennett, the Nike global running head coach. He just had a podcast on how to train for nothing that we listened to. And I really liked how he was just talking about like running for the joy of running.
Right.
And like, that's what I love.
Yeah. Well, and my coach Matt and I have talked a lot about too. I like process goals. And so 3 years ago, holding 30 miles a week for me was like a huge, very big accomplishment. And now this fall or last spring, we held 50-ish, 50 to 60 in that range for like 4 or 5 weeks straight. And it just destroyed me. It was like definitely overreaching. And one of the process goals we have then for this fall is like, can we get 50 to 55 that, you know, can we get that to feel comfortable? It's like a weekly mileage total for Jacob on roads, right? I know that on trail it's a little different, but it's like, and that type of goal fires me up. It's like, can I create a strong enough body to be able to do that, right? That is not overreaching and it just feels like good, you know? Yeah. And, you know, long run wise, at one point, 10 miles on the weekend, like I'd be walking very funny for 4 days, right? And now, you know, that threshold is probably, I don't know, 17, 18, where it like really takes a toll on me like for a whole week and it like messes training up. So it's like, can we get the long run to a point where like every weekend I can handle 15 miles, 16, whatever it is, and like recover from it. Like I like those types of goals, you know?
Yeah. Because you do have a goal at the end of this, but it's cool that like you have like, it's almost like sub goals that you have for the race.
Right.
Because what are you training for? It's your race.
California International Marathon.
Woo!
And I think everyone kind of knows that already. Year 2. And it's the docuseries cap. It's the end of the docuseries we've been doing. And what's funny is for that, we talked before I started the docuseries, and I was like, I almost don't want to put a time on this because I don't really care that much if I hit 259. And I was like, I feel like this is going against everything I like ever said, blah, blah, blah. And both of us kind of talked about it. And I remember deciding like, I'm going to do this for a clickbait more than anything because I'm not the person who's supposed to run sub 3. Right. And so that's a whole nother story, but, supposed to, by the way, whatever. But it's just funny because I'm like chasing this goal. I don't really care about the sub 3 thing. Really, I don't. And then that's going to come on the docuseries more and more. Now, it does not mean I'm not going for it. Like, I'm going to try to run as fast as I can at CIM. And you've seen the last like 6 to 8 weeks, and I think I've changed a lot from where I was in the spring, from like mental and physical. Like, I think this is going to be an exciting build. I really do.
A lot of perspective shifts.
Yeah. And like, I think, 310, 305 will be very, very in range. And why would I scoff at that?
So what made you change from like going to sub 3? Like, why is that?
It's not that I don't have the sub 3 goal. It's not that 310's a goal. It's not that 305's a goal. It's that I talked to Matt about this 2 days ago. Or yesterday. It's that I don't have a time right now. We're going to kind of just train, and we're going to hit these process goals. We're going to try to get faster and get some other good races along the way, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But and then November kind of decide like, okay, this is what you should go for, and decide as a team and figure it out. I think that right now picking a time goal, it's just, again, in the spring I was doing what like very much makes me angry in this industry, and I did it. So, and it didn't work.
Yeah,
I got injured, and it's like, why was I doing that? The best I've ever done running wise is when I never focus on the end goal. I focus on tomorrow and the process in front of me. The end goal comes to me, and the end goal becomes a time of whatever right before the end goal. You know what I mean? It's like, it's very much based on where I'm at in training, and the training goals are just have fun, get more fit, run with Kailee, get community. Like, it's so. I don't know. So yeah, probably gonna try to go sub 3.
Yep, sub 3. That's the goal.
So, but I just did TC 10K with Schwarm this past Saturday, Stillwater 10K, go for the Badger, and paced him and
crushed that.
Yeah, I was very happy with that. With like last year when I ran my 10K PR, which was 39:40 something, I was very, very much trained and ready to do that. And in this situation, I was like, we're just going to go, and like, I've done it before. I can just go run and do it again. And it ended up being not sub 40, but just under 41 minutes. And it felt very doable and fine. And there's a whole kind of backstory with that too. That's not really relevant right now, but so that's a good starting point. And the build for CAM started today, and it was a rest day.
How long of a build do you have?
17 weeks. I mean, we're always building, right? But like the actual, like in my mind, CAM training starts now.
How long do you usually recommend for people to have like for a marathon build? I mean, obviously it depends on if you're a first time runner, but like 17 weeks, I mean, that's like a pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, like textbook and every research, yada, yada, yada. That all says like 18. But some people say 24. It's so dependent on the person. Like if you came in right now and you were like, I want to run Indy full, and that's first week in November, so it's like 13 weeks or whatever, it's like you'd have plenty of time because of the base that you like keep up with. Pretty much everyone on my roster right now that I work with has a base that they could say, I want to go and do a marathon. I'd say most people need at least a month right now on my like roster, but most of the people that like I'm working with, and I would say most people in this endurance community, if they just want to go run a marathon, a month, like if they're staying adequately trained for whatever that means for that person.
Right. Right.
For some people, that could be 80 miles a week. For some people, that could be 20. I don't know.
Right.
So
might do that. I don't know. We'll see.
Couch to marathon. If you're coming from zero, and this is a hot take in this industry potentially, if you're coming from zero, if you have not ran at all, besides like maybe some sports here and there, the occasional pickleball, whatever, even if you ran a marathon like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and now you want to run another one, like to me, it's again, back to the process goals. Can you get to 30 miles a week? Can you cover roughly the marathon distance a week? And can you comfortably hold that for like 4 weeks? Then we train for the marathon. That's in my mind. So,
well, I think it, like coming from me again with like the completion, like it depends on like what's your goal for the marathon. Like again, if you're just trying to like complete it.
Right.
Like my first marathon at grandma's in 2012, like I think my longest run was like 8 miles before that. It didn't feel good during the marathon. Like it was not, I don't recommend that. But like, you know.
Well, Matt my coach always says that he truly believes anyone can do a marathon, like just from zero.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you can't. It's more of like, what are you doing to your body? You know, and I'm sure, with your background,
joints hurt.
Do you want to go destroy your body for just the sake of destroying your body? Sure. Or you can train for it. So,
right.
But to stay on topic.
Sorry.
I'm getting a lot of podcast ideas though. But yeah, so I got TC 10 mile. That's about 7 weeks out. Indy half. That's about 11 weeks out. And then, or 13 weeks out, whatever it is. It's like first week of October is TC. First week of November is Indy half. And then CAM.
And you're racing all of those, like leading up to it too?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not super excited about those in terms of like, I want to go get these PRs. Like for the long, at first it was, I want to break 20 minutes in the 5K. Then it was, I actually didn't do the 10K till later, but it was, I want to break 40 minutes in the 10K. Like, that'd be cool. And, again, like it's ironic because I just said process over time goals, but like to me, it was like, yeah, these would be kind of cool milestones. And once I hit those milestones, and both of those were in training runs. So process, once I hit those, I was like, I don't really need to run these as hard as possible ever again. It was, and then the 10 mile, like I, on a spur of a moment type of thing was like, I think I can go sub 70 at the time. And that was like a huge long shot because I hadn't even gone that pace for a 10K yet. And this was like 3 years ago now. And I did that in just under 70 minutes. And it was like one of the hardest things I've ever done and mentally changed me as a runner. And then I flipped the switch that day and have been a different runner since. And that was TC 10, 2022. And since then, I have not cared about PR in my 10 mile. And so there are like some truths to like the time things where I'm like, okay, I got 69 for, 1, 69 is a dope PR. LOL. 2, like, and then for the half, it was, can I get under 90 minutes? And I did that. And so that's where like the sub 3 naturally starts to come up. But again, I felt this way about the half and the 10 mile too, where I was like, if I don't get them, maybe I would have kept trying. I don't know. So I'm just not as excited about those PRs as I am about like CAM. I really want to go crush it. I'm like, that fires me up. The marathon is just my favorite distance.
Well, and like we talk about this a lot, but it's like running for us is a hobby. Like we're not professional athletes. Like we're doing this for fun. And it's like, if a goal doesn't like fire you up and make you excited,
right?
Why are you doing it?
Right.
Like
100%.
Not that we don't like our jobs, but it's like, that's the thing outside of our jobs. We're not making money off of it. Like we're just doing it for the hell of it. So
right.
Like just, I don't know. Like I feel like we just go out there and like have fun. And like, that's the point. And that's what was hard to see like with this spring, because every run was just like hard. Whereas on this summer, like when we were like traveling and stuff, like if you weren't in the best mood or something, it'd be like, why don't you go run? And then your like whole mood and personality would change after that because like you enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I would get to hotels and be like, babe, I'm going to map out my run for tomorrow. Like I was like very excited.
Yeah, or like 8 p.m. You would want to go run. And like normally you're in bed by 8 p.m. So it's been very cool, like seeing the whole shift and like to get excited again. So it's like, this is your career. So you kind of do want to be excited about it too. So, and it's your hobby.
Right. Yeah. So that's the fall, fitness wise, business wise. Where are you at with Dr. Kailee Acu?
Where am I at? So this fall, I extended another day at Performance Running Gym, doing treatments. Woo! So gonna continue building the in-person treatments there with acupuncture, cupping, microneedling, all that good stuff. And I'm actually going back to teaching, helping teach a class at Northwestern Health Sciences University this fall. So that's where I graduated and got my doctorate from. And I get to go help preclinical students with a class called Accessory Techniques. So I'll be there in the afternoons, 1 day a week. And my goal for this fall is to kind of like just continue building the Dr. Kailee Acu brand and building this with you, helping with run coaching, like our community calls and stuff that we're doing now.
Kaylee's helping with Oak, what?
Co-hosting. Yeah, it's just been really fun, like being able to like bounce ideas off of each other and not just like be me, but like still having like my own brand and like business, but now being able to like come together because I feel like both of us are in similar spots with like going off on our own right now and learning a ton. And yeah, I would love to start building like more like online things. So this has not really been said yet, but like probably like building a course focused on like integrative health, like for endurance athletes. That's something I'm super passionate about. So being able to do something online with that and then doing like more telehealth stuff. And yeah, a lot of things that I'm like thinking about, but like being a business owner, small business owner, like and doing everything on your own, like it just everything just takes so much time. Like the marketing side of things, the accounting things, it's just all been such a huge like learning process. So, but now I feel like my foundation of things is like pretty good. And now I can just like start like building off of that. And as we kind of already talked about, like with our, like during our travels, you're kind of like nailing more of like where we see ourselves going. And that's more so that we can be virtual, so that we can help people like all over the country, world, with not being like one-on-one in person here. Like there's huge value in that, but I also would love to be able to help more people in less time. Because right now, like one-on-one, you can only help so many people, and it's the dollars for hours. And
especially when you're sticking needles
in people, using cups. And I just want to be able to do more than that. So finding ways to do that now. I think there's a lot of options because the world of acupuncture, Chinese medicine, all this stuff is still relatively new in the US. Just came over in like the 80s. And just integrative medicine as a whole. I feel like people are starting to turn more towards it and seeing like that there are other options and that you don't need to live in suffering. So now it's just finding out a way to like show people that and to like spread that information and knowledge. That's what I'm working on.
I'm excited for it.
Thanks. It's a lot.
Yeah. I'm excited for you to be a teacher.
Yeah, that'll be fun fun too. Yeah. Because I didn't for like the last year or so.
Do you get nervous teaching?
I'm always afraid of like saying the wrong thing. Like, but that's just like with everything in life. Like even if I know what I'm saying, like I still just get worried. That's gonna be the wrong thing. But then I feel like I'm good at explaining things and like being a teacher, professor. So like after I do it for a little bit, like I really enjoy it. And I might be helping out with I also help chiropractors learn acupuncture. So that course is starting up again this fall. So I might be doing that too. And with anything, I feel like when you're teaching something, like you just learn it that much better too. So I feel like it just like tunes up my skills even more. And I like showing people things and like demonstrating stuff. And like, I'm a very like hands-on learner and not just like I not an audio learner. So like if people are like talking at me, like I'm not picking it up. So I really try like when I'm like helping like the students and stuff to like demonstrate and then have them like demonstrate back to make sure like they actually have an understanding, which I feel like all those skills like then help translate to my acupuncture patients because I want to make sure that they're understanding what I'm saying too, and not just me like talking and like giving all this information that's going right over their heads. So yeah, I enjoy it. I mean, my parents were teachers, and so my grandparents were professors. I come from a huge like teaching background. Not something I want to do like full time at this point. Imposter syndrome, a lot of things there, but this is like a good touch into that world.
Yeah. So, okay, in December, you listen to this podcast, and we'll give you one thing. Well, we should each do one thing. But if you listen to this podcast and it's like, what's one thing by December you'll be like, shit, yeah, if I get this accomplished, business wise?
I mean, I'd love to double the amount of patients that I have a week right now for my business. That'd be pretty cool.
Do we want to say like numbers behind things like that or no?
Sure.
We don't have to.
No.
And part of what we're doing with this podcast is making it raw as hell. So like I'm very comfortable talking about this right now with you and putting this out there.
Yeah, that's okay. Because I feel like especially like, well, kind of in any industry, but especially like with acupuncturists, like people hate talking numbers and like saying like how full you are. And it's that
like, and like people hide prices of things too. And like hate talking. I'm like, why is it like this?
Yeah. So we like talk about like being very transparent because like I want to know numbers and like salaries, incomes. And I feel like that's changing now too. Like even on LinkedIn, people are like, businesses are starting to post like the salary. Because like, why do we have to like wait to find that out? Like they already, like most businesses already have a number in mind.
Right.
So like, why do we need to like do this back and forth game and go through the whole interview process just to find out that like it's going to be way lower than what you want?
Right.
So, and then in like, again, back to like acupuncturists, like a lot are part-time. So it's like hard to say like what like a full schedule is. And like, I could say I'm fully booked, but I'm, I have 6 hours that are open a week, like two days a week that are 3-hour shifts. So right now I have like pretty significant times open just because I want to be available for people. But so right now I'm hitting, and every week depends, but like 8 to 10 patients a week or so. And that's I've been doing 3 days a week at PRG up until this coming week now, like 7 to 10.
And then at Crocus, you're doing like 7 on that one day, right?
That was like 15 to 20
across 2 days.
Yeah, across for 2 days.
And so now you're
for the
trying
month,
to fit that into like one day.
Yeah, for the month, like between both of them, I was hitting between around like 80 to 90 like patients a month that I was seeing in person.
So do you want to double that number or do you want to double the PRG number?
So now I'm down to 1 day a week at Crocus. So I'm doing about 10 patients there on that day. And then at PRG, I want to double those patients. Yeah. So.
Well, and I find too with the number side of things is, I probably lost my train of thought right there. I was going to say something about how much energy you get back when you start doing like your own business. And shit, I lost my train of thought.
Well, yeah, doubling back to like the numbers. Like I'd like to go back to a range too, like 15 to 20 a week at PRG.
Do you feel like there's a number that's like too much? Like when you feel like your energy's draining, you're not really, like your bucket's too full?
Yeah, I mean, some people can like go through people. I'm very quickly. I very much like when I like meet with people, like we're talking for a while. And I know a lot of people don't like doing that, but I mean, we'll catch up for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. And that alone can be like more energy draining. Like, even though like I love doing it, I feel like that's a huge, like, important part of my treatment to like make people feel like seen and heard. It does take up more time and energy. So like 30 a week, like, I think would be like my max. Yeah, definitely. That would be plenty. Which again is why I'm trying to like expand the online offerings, because as much as I love doing in-person things and like again, there's a huge benefit to it, like it is very like energy sucking. Like, as an introvert, like being one-on-one with people, like it's just a lot, because I try to be 110% present for each person and giving them like my full attention and time. And even though it's like filling my cup, it's still like taking energy, if that makes sense. So yeah, like 25 to 30 would be great.
Oh yeah.
And I need to start figuring out other things. Yeah. What about you? What's new? What's going on with the business? What's your goal for this fall?
I'm just chilling. Oak Endurance. It's just me now. Yeah. 3-4 years ago, it's kind of crazy, because if I would show myself 3-4 years ago what I'm about to do next in my career, what I'm doing now, I didn't think I'd be doing until I was like 40, like realistically, maybe 30. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm scared. For those of you that don't know, I was at PRG for like, they were like what raised me, and they were not even business wise, but fitness wise, and like coming out of my past drama that was in my past, like going into PRG was like my only safe place. I went through a period of like a year where the only time I felt like not very, very depressed was when I was at PRG, whether I was working with people, whatever, and I just lived there. And it worked out nicely because it helped me build a career there too. So that was like the last thing that I let go of, I guess. And it was like very hard to let go of. And yeah, there's a lot there, obviously, but I'm excited. Oak Endurance now I'm completely on my own, working out of Real Active Wellness downtown in North Loop, Minneapolis, for like all my one-on-one and two-on-one classes and things like that, all the in-person stuff. So you can find me there. And then run coaching, all the virtual stuff is through Oak. We launched the Oak Endurance app, which is sick and exciting too. I'm pretty like, wow, that's dope. So I have this app now in which all my run coaching clients are going to go in instead of Training Peaks, which at first I was like a little freaked out to do. And then I realized, talking to you and then another client I had, that most people are using Training Peaks because the coach knows how to use Training Peaks. Most people, that at least that I work with, and the demographic I work with, don't give a shit what their runs are through. Most people. And most people just want it to sync to their Garmin. That was like and then it also makes like my life more fun, because now you just say, hey, I have an Oak app. And you download the Oak app and it says Oak Endurance on your homepage, right? And you go into it and it has runs and a forum and all of like the Oak Endurance communities in there. And I have 2 training plans done. I'm working on hopefully like 8 or so of just like entry-level strength training that you can go and pick through and assign to yourself. And so, you're talking about how much people can you touch and work with. I'm hoping I can, really start to maximize how many, grow that number. So that's exciting. It's scary, like, again, like I was saying before I went off on that tangent, like 3 to 4 years ago, I didn't think I'd be off on my own for a while. And so now the idea of like, I'm truly an entrepreneur, small business owner, and just on my own, it's scary and it's fun. And I'm ready. I'm freaked out, and I think the biggest thing that's been hard is trying to navigate all of these different bridges I've built without burning any of them. That's like the hardest thing that no one warns you about, is that like, it's very hard not to burn bridges, whether you try to do your best not to. And then there's, also the, like, I don't know, just like the different people that are in your life, business wise, connection wise, whatever, for so long. And then now they just aren't. Like the support is still there, but you don't see them as much. And, it's just different. So, yeah, it'll be cool to kind of see how I navigate that and what comes next for me in Oak, because I'm also like, I don't know, I don't love being alone, but I'm a lone wolf too with like business. So I think the community and my clients and whatnot help me kind of with the itch of not being alone, so.
I feel like you've been learning a lot. This is like, we all, I feel like, go through this, like a life lesson of like knowing when and what to let go of.
Pruning.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be like torching the thing. Like, it doesn't need to be like a never thing. It can just be like, at this point in my life, like I need to set this aside for a little bit. And I think that comes from the like, we're not going to burn bridges, but we're just going to like take another path like at this time.
Right.
And I think that can go for anything, like relationships, friendships, work.
Right.
And it's hard, especially when it's something that's like provided that like safety net and like change like the trajectory of your life. And then I don't know, like I feel like I've like experienced like, okay, like I owe this person something because they got me to where I am today. And it's like, no, like the goal in life, like even like as kids to our parents, like our goal is to like meet them where they were and then expand upon that. And I think it's okay to like want to do even better. And it's not saying that like something was like bad or wrong or anything, but like, I don't know, I think it always just comes back to like, what do you want? And then hopefully like people respect that in the end.
Yeah, I think that I think that's kind of like, I heard a quote once about mentors and how it was like, it's like shitty mentors don't want their mentees to pass them. Good mentors hope their mentees stay around them forever. And great mentors know that their mentees will eventually leave and want them to. Right. Yeah. And I think that kind of translates to like relationships sometimes too, in a sense, like not that, friendship and community, whatever, but, like everyone, we all go different paths and all go to different routes in our careers, life, whatever. I'm kind of like blurring different like things now, but you get my point where it's like,
it's all related.
Right. Yeah. The great people understand, I guess. Yeah. Right. And that's something that I hope that I can do because I'm 26, right? And you're 30, and we have like started to kind of now enter that world too, where like people are looking to us for like mentorship a little bit. And one thing I learned from Todd, specifically from Reactive Wellness, is that like I just want anyone that I help to win. And that was something he very much instilled in me. And it's like, we talked with Taylor about this too, about how like the people that are ahead of you, driving the ship, rowing the boat, whatever, in the industry and whatever, in our industry, right? Like they're focused on moving themselves and that level forward, right? The people be like below them, they're focused on like getting them up there with them, right? So yeah, I think that's kind of been a huge takeaway too. And it's been hard because like PRG, for example, has been fucking awesome, right? So but there's been other situations and whatnot that have been really hard to navigate, right? So and not that wasn't easy navigation either, but you know what I mean? Like they're both great people. So yeah.
And I think like in both of our cases with a lot of stuff too, like I'm just super grateful because there's never like a wrong choice in what we're doing either. Right. It's just kind of like, okay, like I'm super lucky to have all these options, just like what's the best for me at this time. And like, even though you like take this path, it's like, you're going to be taking another path this way and then this way. Like it's going to be all over the place anyways. And I think that helps me remember too. Like we talked about this on our trip a lot. Also, like we don't need to like have the end goal like right now. Like even if I say like I want 25 to 30 patients, like that's not gonna, like, I know that's not gonna be forever. That's just like a now goal. And like me personally, like that helps to know that like I'm not gonna be like, not that I'm stuck, but like knowing that like I can change this whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
That's
just not getting in that stuck mentality.
It's a fun thing about both our personalities too. We're just like very much like, let's just do what's fun. Let's just do what excites us right now.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and then chase that. Like,
yeah, it's just a game. Like, so many people have talked about that. This is all just a game. We're just, playing the game, trying to level up. So by December, you do mine.
By December, what's your
one goal, one thing?
Your one goal, your fuck yeah moment.
My fuck yeah moment. Being alone, right? Like I had my fuck yeah moment. I got that's like, I feel fucking great right now with where I'm at. So like now I have to start thinking like, oh, okay. I want to get like the Oak Endurance App. I want at least 20 athletes in there. I think there's 13. So I would love to get 20 athletes in there. I want to get the Oak Endurance App. I want the forum completed. I want the training plans completed. I want a subscription model for $50 a month for like anyone to be in the app. I want the community call to be a hit. I want to get that grown. And I want to get it to a point where it's like, I feel very cool and comfortable going to anyone and saying, this is my app, download it, use your code. Everything you need is in there. If you want personal coaching, it's $200 a month. Here you go. Right. I think that's the next step. That's what I'm really interested in going this coaching route as opposed to like the training route, which a lot of my mentors have been in. So paving paths, trying to.
Yeah.
Having fun.
I think it's cool because, again, we get to do whatever we want.
We get to do this.
Like, we get to do this. And yeah, I just feel like both of us are in such like a growth mindset all the time.
Yeah.
And can take this literally wherever we want it, which sometimes that can be like overwhelming to be like, okay, I have all these options. Like where and how do I take this? But the cool thing is that we have each other.
Yeah.
So,
and we get to do this.
Episode 4.
This. Wow. That's a wrap. Anything else you want to say? All right. I'm Jacob.
Thanks for listening. And I'm Kaylee.
And
we get to do this.
Boom. Hope the clap didn't hurt people.
Sorry.